Hey, what's up guys? Thanks for stopping by. In this video and most likely a chapter of videos, I'm going to show you the whole process or the step-by-step on doing a K series motor swap in an EK chassis Civic, and this will probably go the same for the EG chassis and the DC Integra chassis. This is actually my first time working on a K series motor. I'm actually learning as I go. I did a lot of research through the forums. Thanks guys for your input, and same as how you are watching my video right now, a bunch of videos learning all the little details on how to do the whole process. So let's begin. Okay guys, what I have here is a JDM spec K24a motor that can be found in an accurate TSX. Um, so I bought this 2 months ago from a shop called JDM Engine Pros in Los Angeles. So I'm going to show you, usually this is how the motor is going to come with when you buy it from your local JDM surplus stores. You have your complete motor here with the alternator, the power steering. The AC compressor was here, but it was never mounted, but it included in the price. It was included in the price, but they gave it to me anyways. I'm probably not gonna end up using it. Um, the stock intake manifold and the throttle body. Uh, the wiring harness is here, but it's always gonna be cut. You're lucky if you found a complete wiring harness, but you're not gonna end up using this anyways. What's left of the exhaust manifold, and what else is here? Just make sure all the sensors are here. You're probably gonna use most of it for your swap. Okay, so my first plan was to just find a whole complete swap from someone, but that didn't happen. So I've just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna start from the ground up. I'm just gonna buy all the pieces that I need, and I'm gonna work from there. So this is actually gonna benefit you guys because you're gonna see all the bits and pieces of parts that's needed for the swap. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna start removing all the parts that I'm not gonna need. Well, I'm gonna explain it to you later. Some of the stock parts you can use, but I just opted to just um, switching some of the parts to aftermarket bolt-ons, because that's my whole plan anyways to begin with. Okay, so after an hour, I was able to remove pretty much everything that I'm not gonna use. Yeah, it's pretty much bare. Um, yeah, so you'll be surprised like what you're actually paying for is pretty much the bare block. So what's next is going to be oil pump swap from a K20a2, and I'm going to explain why you're supposed to replace it. It is essential. It is important. From what I gathered, the stock K24 oil pump is not sufficient enough after 8,000 RPM. So you are advised to replace it with a K20a2 from an RSX Type S oil pump. Hi guys, so this is the K20a2 oil pump. I'll just say A2 to make it shorter. So you have to purchase the entire kit for the K24. So the kit usually comes with the pump, the chain guide, windage tray, the windage tray bolts, and this one right here. Because since this is meant for the K24, you're actually gonna use this. This is an M8 bolt, so later on you're gonna see where this little guy is going. Okay, the parts you have to remove, the crank pulley. So after removing the bolt, luckily it wasn't that too hard to remove it. Before you pull the pulley, there's that little pin right there. Make sure you don't lose it. So next is the valve cover. Okay, so that one's off. So the next one is the oil pan. Okay, so oil pan is off. So the next is gonna be the timing chain cover. You're gonna have to remove the sensor too before you remove the timing chain cover. Okay, so now everything's off. We can flip the motor upside down. And okay, so you are looking at the oil pump right now. So before we can remove this, we're gonna have to remove the timing chain to have access to the pump chain. See? So remove this side of the guide, and then you're gonna be able to remove the timing chain. So there's 1, 2, and 3 bolts. And next you have to remove this side now using an Allen wrench. Okay, so left side guide is off. So now we're gonna remove the right side. So this is the tensioner. What you're gonna do is, so it doesn't push out when you remove this, there's like a little hole right there. Just stick a pin on it, so that will stop the tensioner from pushing out. So you can remove this. So the next one is we're going to remove the oil pump chain tensioner. There's 1, 2, 3 bolts, and we're gonna remove the oil pump chain guide. There's 1 and 2 using an Allen wrench. Okay, so the next step is removing the bolts for the oil pump. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Here, so let me show you 24 pump. Um, this is definitely a lot bigger and a lot heavier than the A2 pump. Um, the pump is driven by two shafts right here instead of just that single one that the A2 has. Okay, so here's a side-by-side comparison between the A2 pump and the K24 pump. Definitely this is the lighter weight. I would say roughly between 5 to 6 pounds. And you are probably wondering, and I was wondering myself too, why not just use the A2 pump for all the K series motors? So from what I found, I don't know if this is true or not, they're saying that because this is driven by two shafts, it's actually going to be balanced inside the motor and keeps the motor from vibrating. But how come this one doesn't cause any vibration? So I don't know. I don't want to question the Honda engineers. I mean, they were so smart enough to, create the best four-cylinder natural aspirated motor, which is the K series motor. So I'm not even questioning why make two separate pumps for two separate K series motors. So next is we're gonna remove the two windage trays, which is this one. There's 4 bolts, and this one, which has 2 bolts. Okay, so now we got everything out. Before we install the A2 pump, just gonna start cleaning and removing the Honda Bond residue around this area right here. Okay, I'm just gonna use this blade right here and just clean all the residue out. So the next task is we're going to remove that little thing right there. Once we remove that, that's where the M8 by 1.25 bolt is going to go. So that little thing is just plugged in there and it's not bolted in. So someone suggested you to use a self-tapping screw. So this is what I have, and just screw it a little and then just pull it out. Let's see if it works. Okay, so just thread it on lightly. You don't have to go deep. So right now it's on. Let's see if it pulls out. Oh no. Okay. Now it's so we'll have to go. Yes. Oh. All right, came out. Woo. So update guys, apparently the M8 bolt that came with the kit was not a true M8 bolt, so I had to run to Home Depot and get the right one, and then just apply some black oil resistant gasket maker. Okay, so the bolt's in. Just set it to 9 foot-pounds of torque. Okay, so the next one will be the windage tray. Okay, so we're gonna torque it down to 9 foot-pounds. Okay, so the next step will be the oil pump installation. So there are two dowel pins on this one. So there's that one and the bigger one right there. So just make sure you just line it up correctly. So that's one, and then that's the other one. Okay, before we finish installing the pump, I want you to guys see what you have, what you need to do with the pump. So if you look at the bottom is actually cut. Um, what I mean to say is, I wish I had an actual A2 pump that's uncut so you guys can see how it looks like before the thing's cut. So let me just pull this out first. So here how, if you guys see this part here, and then I'll show you a picture of the uncut A2 pump. You guys see the bottom? Okay, so here, and then versus the uncut one. So the reason is because if this is not cut, the thing's gonna hit it. This part right here. So you guys need to cut it. Okay, I actually got lucky because I bought this from a guy who had plans to do a swap on his car, did the cut himself, and ended up not going through it, so he ended up just selling the pump kit. Okay, first thing you have to do is put the chain on the pump, like so, and then there you go. What's next is installing the bolts. So what's next is installing the bolts. Okay, so make sure everything's torqued to spec. The back bolt's going to be 12 foot-pounds. And then the two front bolts going to be, let's just say 22 foot-pounds. And then next one is the tensioner. So torque it down to 9. Okay, now the oil pump's finally done. So now I'm going to show you guys how to install the timing chain back and set it to top dead center. Okay, so I did mention earlier that this is my first time working on a K series motor, so I actually found this out. If you look at your timing chain, some of the links are shaded black. This is actually for you to place the link to where the markings are on the cam gear, and that line mark on the crankshaft. See that? So, okay. Yeah, this is really quite interesting. So here you're supposed to place the two dark links in between that dot on the cam gear, and same goes for this one. Oh, this is actually not set yet, but you're supposed to line the little dot in between those two black links, and then I'm going to show you. Okay, so on the crankshaft side, there's actually only one link that's shaded black. So what you're supposed to do is, if you see the line right there, you're supposed to place the shaded link where the marking is. See that? So the line is between the black link. Cool, right? Okay, just got it done. I'm going to show you guys. So this is the exhaust side cam gear. See where the dot is in between the two black links, and then same as the intake side cam gear. See where the dot is in between the two black links, and then same for the crank. See where the line is in between that one black link. Perfect. Okay, and make sure everything lines up. The two lines meet. And then on the crank, see where the arrow is on the block and the arrow on the pulley side. Cool.